material science engineering at Carnegie Mellon University, also pursuing an additional master's in additive manufacturing. So one of my passions and one of the things I'm really looking into is how to apply some of my materials engineering skill sets over to industry, specifically in the field of additive manufacturing. And I've had a lot of experience with additive, specifically through some of my research experiences on campus, as well as my past internship at GE Additive. So I've had a pretty solid idea of kind of the scope of where the field of additive manufacturing is going and how to apply my skill sets as a materials engineer into those fields, basically. So I can kind of like walk through my internship experience as well, and kind of my resume as a whole. So over this past
let me ask you, you said you have done internship at GE, right?
Yeah.
So can you go through that process? How did you apply for that internship? And what was the internship like? How were you able to get that internship? What was the interview process and everything?
Yeah, sure. So my campus had a career fair. So this is my junior year. So last fall, I had a GE recruiter came to my campus, and she was basically recruiting for internship positions at GE. So I went to the career fair. I just explained my interest. I had a very strong interest specifically into the additive manufacturing space at GE. So she was also working in the area. We connected very well during our career fair. And then later that night, she just sent me a phone call asking for an interview. So I just went to interview with her the next day. I was like a 20-30 minute behavioral interview process. And then within a week, I got the acceptance for the internship. So we have an expedited hiring process for like job fair companies.
And then how you did it online or you were doing it on site?
This was all in person. Yeah, on site last year.
On site. So how was the interview? How was the internship in general? Like you were at GE.
Yeah, so the internship was after the pandemic started, so that was completely virtual.
Okay. So how was the internship? Like, did you felt it was too aggressive, or they were okay, or how did you felt the whole internship was?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about it. So I can kind of start out with a premise. It was supposed to be a 12-week in-person internship, but with the severe collapse of the aerospace industry and like GE's finances not doing as well, they reduced the internship to a 4-week virtual internship. And instead of giving a specific project, they put all of the interns into a big bucket. Like everyone kind of did the same thing. So like throughout my 4 weeks, it was mainly focused on networking, education, and then a final business case simulation.
And they paid you for that 4 weeks?
Oh yeah. They paid the same rate that I would have gotten in person. It was just for fewer weeks, so it was less money overall.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was not like a technical stuff you did. It was more like basically talk and doing personality development probably.
Kind of, yeah. It was also very focused on like Lean Six Sigma. They did a lot of focus on optimizing manufacturing processes. And I think that's something I liked about this internship a lot, is that they really and because they understood that we're not going to get any of the skills we would have gotten in person. So they pivoted the entire internship experience and they focused very much on optimizing manufacturing processes, like reducing waste, within your process and reducing any sort of defects. So I got a lot of insight into how GE as a company works overall. I was part of like a new product introduction simulation. I worked with like 4 or 5 other engineers, and it was like a kind of a case study. So the whole thing was a simulation, but we learned a lot about how to pivot our decisions based on different customers and everything, and how to choose which process to like work best for our new product introduction.
Understood.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, you said you were doing a bachelor's and then you are doing additional master's, right? So you will have a bachelor's, you already have a bachelor's.
No. I'm doing my bachelor's and my master's at the same time.
Okay. So it's like a 5-year program or something?
No, so I came in, I came in with a lot of college credit from like advanced placement classes in my high school. So then those AP credit scores kind of allowed me to skip a lot of the introduction classes. So I had a lot of space that I filled in with master's classes instead. So they're separate programs. I'm just doing them at the same time, and I'll finish both by May 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. And are you going to do a thesis, or this is going to be master's is going to be without thesis or something?
Yeah, this is not a research master's. This is a coursework master's.
Okay.
But despite that, I've still done a lot of research on campus, especially in the additive space.
Whom you
I'm
work with?
just
And Anthony
uh,
Rowlett or something?
yeah, Professor Anthony Rowlett,
Or Brian?
Brian Webler.
Uh-huh. You work with him too?
Oh yeah, he's not my research professor, but he's one of the professors I've had in my courses. He does a
Oh,
lot of like steel making and that stuff.
right, right,
So he's getting more involved in the additive space. He's like come to a lot of the research seminars and everything that they host.
right. Yeah, yeah. We wrote some proposal with him actually, so that's the reason I know.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. He's a really good professor.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you, when you say you are, because you were talking a lot about additive and all that. So I really want to know what what you have done in that area, in additive area in general.
Yeah. Okay. So
Like, what do you know about additive and what you have done in that area?
so a lot of my work has been focused mostly on metal additive manufacturing. I've done a lot of work with like different powder bed. Wait, before I started that, so do you have a lot of experience with like the additive manufacturing sector?
Yeah, you can go ahead and I can understand what if you say something. Don't worry.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so I basically worked with a lot of like hands-on 3D printing experience. So we have a laser bed powder fusion system and an electron beam powder bed fusion system on campus. So both of
Hmm.
them are just like metal 3D printers that can fuse metal powder together to form fully formed 3D printed parts. And a lot of my work as a materials engineer is to figure out how to best choose a specific type of powder or specific type of alloy to work with to like build a fully formed part with like the most optimal mechanical properties.
Hmm.
And so on my resume, I basically outlined three specific projects that I've worked on that I think best showcase some of the additive skills. The first one that I did was more on powder morphology. So I was analyzing with one of the PhD students how the shape and the size of the powder can affect the quality of the 3D printed part in terms of like mechanical properties and any sort of defects like porosity within the sample. So one company came up to us with a powder that was less desirable. So typically when you make metal powder, you have to put it through a whole atomizing system and form the powder into a perfect sphere. But one company came up to us and said, "Hey, we're able to form this powder in a much cheaper method, and it's not a perfect sphere. But how do the mechanical properties of this powder compare with traditionally like spherical powder?" So my whole project was kind of showing off that even though we had less desirable powder, we were still able to form perfectly like very well 3D printed parts with optimal mechanical properties. So that was kind of my goal, and that was to see whether we can take a less desirable start product and come with a perfectly fine finished product, which I think was a lot of very informative. Um, so that was all with the Ti 64 like titanium powder. And then I've also done some work with some nickel super alloys, specifically with CMSX4, which is a single crystal. And then I've done some work with like Inconel 718 as well. And my work with the single crystal was more to determine whether if you start off with a single crystal like metal sheet and then you melt it, and it's supposed to simulate the process of like 3D printing because you're melting powder and it's recooling and reforming again.
Hmm.
So during the resolidification process, whether you can maintain single crystal properties and see like epitaxial grain growth. So I looked a lot of at the microstructure. I did a lot of polishing and etching on those samples, a lot of traditional metallography, like traditional like metallurgy work basically. So I had a lot of experience kind of using an SCM, looking at
Did you
a
did you do
yeah.
a lot of printing also on your own, like change the parameter, machine parameters, and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I've been trained on the 3D printers. So whenever you load in powder, you have to wear a full respirator suit and everything, like put in the powder in the machine. I've also gotten trained on like the various software. So I have some experience like using SolidWorks to design a part. And then from the SolidWorks, you have to export it to a different software called Materialize Magics. And then from there, that file can be read into the 3D printer. And that file already contains all the parameters necessary. So yeah,
Yeah, understood.
yeah.
So this okay, I understand now. Got it. So yeah, so Nihal, what are the questions that you have for me? I think I some of them are here, but any specific thing that you want to ask me? Otherwise, I can go through your questions first. Is basically so I just gonna give you a very brief overviews. So when are you planning to graduate?
May 2021.
20, okay, next year. Okay. So I would say, Lockheed is always looking for people, whether in, so I worked for Lockheed Space.
Mm-hmm.
So Lockheed has other business units also, Aero, RMS, and there's another one. But as he said, um, you will find in general, the positions are posted, and space in particular, because a lot of work has been going on with NASA and all that.
Yeah.
Lockheed Space and Aero and a lot of companies, a lot of the business units are hiring
Okay.
aggressively, even in this COVID, I would say. I have, since I'm here for last 5 months, 4 or 5 months now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have been hired even in our group. So I've not seen people leaving, but hiring, to be honest with you.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of other companies like GE, Boeing, they're not hiring as much right now. So I was wondering what Lockheed State was.
Yeah. Actually, if you look at companies who are in the civil aerospace,
Mm-hmm.
they are, most of them, they are the one who are laying off people and all that.
Yeah.
There was a news 2 weeks back about Raytheon doing the same thing. They were laying off 15,000 people up in Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at that news, it specifically talks about civil and aerospace
Okay.
rather than defense and all that. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
different area. Yeah. So in that sense, I think Lockheed is doing much better.
Yeah,
And as I
because
said, yeah, and Lockheed Space in particular, and we are already always looking out for people who are, well trained and know things and can do things, and that all that type of thing that you spoke about and so forth.
mm-hmm.
um yeah, so as I said, um so in that sense, I would say, always keep looking
Mm-hmm.
into Lockheed website, and we do quite a lot amount of work within a space in the area of additive manufacturing,
Okay.
and we work with a lot of people. I just told you about Brian, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you can imagine, right? We work with a lot of people, so and things like that. So it's not like uh, this particular area Lockheed is not interested. We are very much interested in this area, and always are looking for people,
Okay.
intern or full time and so forth. But as I said, the best thing that anybody has to do is, you have to be a US citizen, which you are. So that's why
Yeah. Yeah.
always look for Lockheed website, career website, and
Mm-hmm.
look for a position and things like that. But
Yeah.
I have your resume. I can pass on to the hiring manager, and
Thank you. Yeah.
to look. But as you said, the jobs are always posted over there.
Yeah.
But if you decide to, many people, I think, they are fortunate. Also, they decide to do some sort of internships, and then they can join just to see whether they like it or not. That is
Mm-hmm.
also one of the ways you can work there. So
Yeah, I know that since I'm finishing my master's within the next semester, I don't have space for an internship since
okay.
like this summer I'll be working, well, ideally, full time. So this one of the issues I was having a lot with applying to companies is that like companies that have come to my school's career fair, I've been having success with in terms of getting interviews and everything, but companies that I'm being like cold applying to just on the job postings online, I typically don't hear anything back from. So I found that like leveraging connections on LinkedIn has really helped me. I can have
Yeah,
conversations like
definitely.
this.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But as I said, this is definitely not a not a not a good time for any student, to be honest with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially international students. I mean, so people are having tough time at this point of time, for sure. And
Yeah.
that is the reason I think many students have either deferred their graduation, or they are going for a master's or a PhD.
Yeah.
They are doing that too. So, but as I said, I mean, as you said, you can imagine, right, how many applications I'm pretty sure people get, even at Lockheed. But all I can tell you at this point of time is, you, what you are doing is of interest for Lockheed 100%.
Hmm.
So what you're doing, we are always looking for people who are hands-on also. and also can take certain sort of a leadership in that area.
Hmm.
And just keep in touch, because a lot of time we do hiring based on the projects that are awarded to us, and we are
Okay.
waiting for next year March April timeframe, when we will hear about some of the proposals that we have submitted. you know so once the
Hmm.
results are out, we will definitely look for people in that area.
Okay.
Yeah. But just keep take a look, keep looking. If you see any, and as you said, Lockheed Space, the headquarter is in Denver, but the
Denver.
the group that I work for, which called ATC, Advanced Technology Center, you can Google that. That
Okay.
headquarter is in Palo Alto or Sunnyvale. So
I was gonna ask because I know there's a big additive manufacturing facility in Sunnyvale for
yeah,
Lockheed. So I wanted to ask if you knew about that too.
yeah. So as I said, it could be also possible that that facility belongs to Lockheed Aero, not Lockheed
Okay.
Space. So I may not know that, but we know a lot of our people do work. And my people I report to are, they sit in Sunnyvale and Palo Alto.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the headquarter for space is in Denver, where a lot of activities happen from all this satellite and Artemis perspective and all that, and
Hmm.
there's a lot big additive facility there also. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. I really wanted to kind of understand more like Lockheed's additive capabilities, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
mentioning all these
we
good
do. Yeah,
locations.
it's as I told you, it's a very up and growing area in Lockheed. So
Hmm.
you should always look for any position that you see.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
unlike other companies. I would say Lockheed, as we are not, so far I have not seen anybody getting laid off or anything like that. What I have seen, even in this COVID, people getting hired
Okay.
aggressively. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, want to make sure I'm putting my best foot forward
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the
So it's
hiring
not like,
process.
yeah, you're right. So even I would say, even if you look at Raytheon or Boeing or Blue Origin or
Hmm.
any of those companies, even SpaceX, you will see those people are hiring too, because they are
Yeah.
not working in, especially their business units who are working in the area of defense and all that. They are the ones who are hiring. They are
Hmm.
not the ones. But if your business, if the part of that company business unit is working in the area of civil aerospace, those are definitely in bad position. That's why Rolls Royce, GE, they are in.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know because the government contracts will do a lot for like the defense companies, right? So they're not as impacted by the economy, probably.
Right, right. And that is the
Yeah.
reason why then you cannot hire internationals. You have to hire US citizens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. It
Which
also.
is good for people who have US citizenship.
Hmm. But
Definitely.
very
Yeah.
definitely unfortunate for the international students, though.
Yeah, yeah. So as I
Yeah.
said, if you are asking that question is from your what you are doing and the opportunities at Lockheed, both I think are very complementary.
Okay.